You're just at work, it's a normal day, and the phone rings, it's Matchroom. What happened next?
Obviously, Floyd Schofield out of the fight now, new opponent Josh Padley.
We only actually had an hour to prepare specifically for Shakur Stevenson. And he stepped back and made a funny face, and I thought, this is sound, he's hurt his hand. The headshots aren't hitting me, just keep punching me in the head. And then his corner were like, go to the body check. He banged me once at the body, I thought, oof, took wind straight out of me, and then that were it. He'd all out assault to my body and just broke me down. At 10 o'clock, sometimes I'd be going out and doing like 6 rounds with Dalton Smith, and then coming back to work, and then doing the rest of my day. That's what I'd have to do to then sometimes get a couple of sessions in. Phone call one evening, Stalker. Do you want to fight Mark Chamberlain at Wembley on the AJ undercard? And I just said, yeah.
Josh Padley!
Well, to be honest, I thought that was it then. Packing the job in, I'm going to get a deal, everything. Just beating this undefeated prospect who was meant to be fighting for a world title next. You've gone and derailed it. I thought that's it. And then 3 weeks later, I'm back to work.
Was there ever a point, sort of, I might have to give boxing the elbow? Hello, and welcome back to First Round Podcast. Right, I have Rocky himself with me today, Josh Padley. Josh, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good. Pleasure to be here.
Right, take me back to that pivotal moment in your journey. You're just at work, it's a normal day, and the phone rings, it's Matchroom. What happened next? Talk us through that moment.
It was that evening. So obviously I'd been to work that day,
right?
Like any other day. Obviously installed two houses of solar panels. Come home and
as you do,
yeah. Come home and put the tea in the oven in the air fryer. And it wasn't finished. I'd actually got a nice pulled pork thing because we weren't in camp or anything. And the phone rang. Stalker. What's your weight, lad? What's your weight, lad? I was like, what? And he's like, you're not going to believe the phone call I've just had. What's your weight? First thing that he said. So I obviously jumped on the scales. And long and behold, he says, they want you to fly to Saudi this Saturday to fight Shakur, his opponent's out. It's like,
that's mental.
It was one of them, like, obviously from someone like me, when you look at people like Shakur, it's like, you never get them opportunities. And my food not even finished in the air fryer, and then I'm on the scales debating whether obviously we can go out and fight a 3-weight world champion.
Nuts.
4 days.
So from receiving that phone call that evening, when did you fly out?
5 p.m. the next day.
5 p.m. the next day.
The phone call come at about 6 o'clock at night. The negotiations sort of finished at about 10:30 that night, because obviously a lot of back and forth with everybody in Saudi, and it were all up in the air. About 10:30 that night, saying if you can go and do there were one thing a doctor needed to sign one piece of my eye test off. If you can do that and do the check weight the next day, we'll book you a flight. So yeah, straight to the gym that evening at 10:30 to have a little steady run on the treadmill, up early, another little run on the treadmill, go and get my eye test done, go and do the check weight, and then at 1 o'clock after we did the check weight, that's when they then booked the flights.
Really?
When we was in the van on the way to Manchester Airport, and they booked the flights then to fly at 5 p.m.
That's nuts. That is nuts. You know, with the offer, so you know when Tom rings you, has any money been mentioned at that point? Did they say they've offered you this, or it was just...
The first phone call was, they want you to fight Shakur Stevenson for the WBC World Lightweight Title on Saturday in Riyadh. What's your weight? That was the first.
Right, that was
so
it.
That was it.
Yeah.
He did say it's life-changing money, but he didn't get into that first because obviously it's a matter of, is it going to be done safely? He didn't want me to be like, yeah, and we're doing it no matter what. Or obviously the safety was first, and then it was like, yeah, we can do it. It's for this.
And what was your weight? How much was you over? I mean, we're gonna sort of go backwards and then get back to this moment, but I'm just so intrigued. What was your weight at that point?
67 kilo.
And so you had to lose, what, 7?
Well, I had to do the check weight at 60. What would the check weight have been? 60. The check weight, £139. So I would have been at 140 something pound.
Right.
But my nutrition. The first call we did was straight on to the nutritionist saying, what do you think I'm going to be? He was like, what you ate today, what's your water intake, what's everything? Wrote it all down. He's like, right, so you're going to wake up in the morning, you're going to lose 0.5 because that's just your water if you don't drink now, sort of thing. Yeah. It worked it all out. He's like, Josh, you can do it. So because we said, is it safe to do it, obviously, with everything going on? He said, no, you're fine.
Mental.
Mad.
That's as rocky as it comes. That's crazy. That is the Apollo Creed phone call. Everyone's talking about the Rocky comparison. That is essentially what happens in Rocky. You know, he gets the phone call, he gets picked from Apollo Creed, and next thing you know, he's fighting for the world title. Josh Padley. Yeah,
crazy story. And like I say, that Wednesday, I'd had 2 jobs booked in again. And obviously that night, because I didn't want to put it out there before it was out there, sort of thing, because sometimes I found in boxing, sometimes I sort of jinx myself sometimes if an offer or something comes across and it's like, oh, this could happen, and then, oh no, it's gone that. If I've told somebody, so I sort of keep it to myself. Obviously my missus were like, what's up? Because I was steaming round Ireland on phone all the time. But no, I tried ringing my boss that evening, and he obviously didn't answer because it was 10:30 at night. So I just had to knock them 2 jobs, and he were like, don't worry, mate, go and do what you need to do.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we'll get back to this stage in your career, but we are here currently in Doncaster, where you're born and bred?
Yeah.
I was growing up as a youngster around here.
Small. It's actually a city now, in Doncaster, but it's been a town for forever. It's a very questionable city. But all right, normal growing up, normal childhood. As you do as a kid, sort of go out and doss around shops and stuff like that. That was sort of the thing. Because boxing whenever I never like you say, people wanted to be as a kid and stuff like that. I didn't get into boxing till I was 14. I didn't have my first fight till I think I just turned 15.
Wow.
And I didn't do it because I wanted to. This is going to be my career. I did it because I liked to have a fight.
Is that it?
Literally it. It sort of found me a little bit. So essentially how I got into boxing is we were out on a field with 15, 20 of us, just as you are as a young kid, and 2 lads pulled up who were a couple of years older than us on the mopeds, and they had some old, they'd already been training, and they had some old gloves in the boot of the mopeds that they were going to chuck away from the gym. And they pulled up to the field and were like, hey, lads, get them on. So as you do, put them on and started knocking shit out of each other, sort of thing, on this field where everybody's watching, but between us mates, you know what I mean? And they were like, you could do something, sort of thing. You should.
Well, you've never done nothing.
Never done nothing.
Never done nothing. Anyone in your family, any friends?
No.
Box?
No.
But there was just something natural there.
That was
obviously.
Yeah, that sort of found me as you want, and put the gloves on, and we're just boxing each other, not having no knowledge of it. And one of the lads, kid called Ryan, he went pro and stuff, and he were like, you should come to the gym. You've got something about you, sort of thing. 2 weeks later, I went to the gym, and that were it. Been in it ever since.
Really? That's the start of boxing.
Yeah. So it's not one like my dad getting me into it, my mum getting me into it, anything.
Wow.
My dad tried to get me into football, and I've got 2 left feet, and if I try shooting the ball that way,
as well.
It goes that way.
Me as well. So how many amateur fights did you have?
31.
31. Did you win any national titles or anything?
I won under 20 novices.
Yeah.
Nationals. I got to quarters of the elites, Yorkshire belt and stuff like that. So
yeah. And I'm going to ask you this question 3 times through this podcast. But back then, so, okay, let's say at the end of your amateur career, you're turning pro, right? You fought Jamie Quinn, April 2019.
19.
At that point, just before turning pro, what were your sort of goals and ambitions in boxing? What was the journey for you?
To be where I'm at now. So
you believed?
Yeah. The amateur days, I didn't believe that were just a hobby back then. To begin with, it changed when I won them nationals at under 20s. It changed from, you might be able to do something here. In fact, it wasn't even the under 20s. It was when we went to the elites the year afterwards, and we got to the quarters. That was the pivotal moment of, if you actually try, Josh, you might be able to do it. Yeah. And then obviously we worked from that point there to get to where I essentially am today, a full-time athlete, and got titles.
So how did the process from? So how did you turn professional? What was the conversations? Who was you talking to, and sort of who did you sign with initially?
I think we initially signed with, I think it was Joe, Errol McDonald.
Right.
He's Nottingham based, isn't he?
I think so.
Yeah. Errol McDonald, who we signed with originally. And obviously my trainer at the time, Ian Alcock, he was my amateur coach, and he sort of transitioned us into professionals as well.
Right, okay.
From there, and obviously we did my first 14 fights with Ian as a professional.
And was Ian part of the amateur club?
Yeah.
What was the amateur club?
It was originally, I think it was Doncaster ABC or something. I can't remember. I can't remember what the original name where it moved, but all from Doncaster.
Yeah. And like I say, you fought Jamie Quinn. Would you remember your debut?
I wasn't. Like I say, a professional fighter. It's like it comes with that. That's an achievement in itself. And I can remember going on to BoxRec and seeing my name on there and stuff like that. And you're like, this is sick, this, isn't it? And then Jamie Quinn, and I thought, I'm going to knock him out. Very wrong. Because I had quite a few stoppages and a couple of knockout stoppages in the amateurs. And I thought, I'm just going to be even better. I've got smaller gloves. I'm just going to knock these guys out. I was very wrong.
Yeah.
The tough men, them journeymen. And obviously, people were telling me time and time again, and you don't believe how tough they are, do you?
No.
Jamie Quinn, he were in there. I think I'd sold 100 tickets first on my debut, and he were in there, and he were holding me, and he was saying, "Come on, pretty boy, give your fans something to scream about." And he were doing all dances and all sorts, and all I could think were taking his head off. But obviously, they play into it, don't they?
Of course they do.
That's you loading up and not relaxing on your shots, but part of the game, isn't it?
Yeah. So obviously before you're in the field, you're messing about, you got the gloves on, then you're amateur, you have the 31 fights, you turn pro. Are you like a big fan of boxing at this point? Are you keeping an eye on it? Are you sort of studying what's going on? Did all of a sudden your desire from other bits and pieces turn to boxing and you start loving the sport? Or
yeah, because I didn't really like say again, I didn't like football or anything, so I didn't follow football. I didn't have teams that my dad tried making me a Man U fan, and it didn't stick. I think he took me to a couple of games and just did not stick at all. I couldn't care less for it. But then obviously when I got into the boxing and found like Mike Tyson and stuff like that, and I couldn't stop watching Tyson videos. I think I probably watched Tyson and Berbick, the first one, 50, 60, 70 times, when they're introducing him and stuff like that. I was just amazed by it, sort of thing. I'd say that as an amateur, I watched a lot more boxing than I do now, sort of when I'm so heavily involved in it. But like I say, back then, I was studying all sorts, and I was just amazed by it. Or, like I say, it was a sport that I were attached to.
Yeah. The reason I asked the question, and it's quite, it's interesting for me because I grew up, my dad being a boxer, my dad won the ABA, so I was very heavily involved in boxing from a young kid. It was all I ever knew. My dad never pushed me into it, but it was always like, there was boxing on all the time. We watched Nigel Benn fight 3 times in '95 live. It was just boxing. Sparring with my dad in the kitchen. So it was, it was a natural thing for me to sort of go into. So when I speak to like yourselves and people that didn't have any family that done it, and it literally just falls on your lap, I find it so interesting.
My dad was rugby based and like say football, but I didn't live with my dad, and my stepdad wore F1. That were his thing. So if there were any sport on TV, it'd be F1. So I didn't really like to say I like sports and that in school, but obviously when boxing sort of found me, then that's what I got attached to and just ran with it from there.
Yeah. 10th fight, it gets really real. Who'd you beat for your first title?
Jimmy First.
Yes, that's it.
Jimmy First in Bradford.
That must have been a buzz.
Yeah.
It was for me when I won the Southern Area title. Like you said, you have your debut, right, I'm a pro fighter. And now whatever happens at that point, you've won a title.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, your name, you've made history for yourself. You are forever going to be known as Central Area champ. Good feeling?
Yeah, very good feeling. I can remember again, I were on a building site when I got the call that Jimmy First fight were happening. And I can remember being in, I think it was Leeds, and we were doing some accommodation or something like that at the time. And I can remember being with my pal, who again we work with now, sort of thing. And I said, "We've got the first fight." And I can remember that day running up and down stairs a little bit faster than I could on the building site because I thought I'm training for this. In my head that were it. But yeah, first title, Jimmy first, absolutely buzzing to get that opportunity.
Yeah. So second time last year. What now? So you picked up a title. You're Central area champion. What are your goals and ambitions now? Is it the same? You're fully focused on.
At that time, again, it was still, what do I need to do to become full time in boxing? Because I knew that that was going to unlock a next level in my training and obviously my performance and stuff. So I was in my head then thinking Jimmy first, beat him, and then obviously we keep going, getting closer to that goal of being a full time boxer.
Yeah. So what was? Did you have sponsors on board at the time? Was you sort of say for instance you that first? How long did you have for that fight? Notice
8 weeks for first.
So would you be working right up until the fight? Or?
I think I had a week off or 2 weeks off for first, which sponsors pretty much covered family.
But
and friends.
generally, you were grafting all the way through.
All the way through, yeah.
Wow.
It was only the first fight. I think I took 2 weeks off for the first fight because obviously you had to make the weight and stuff. So I had a week extra training, and then a week you're just making weight, aren't you? Really? So But yeah, I had 2 weeks off for first.
And then the real pivotal moment in your career when everyone got to hear your name was getting the call for Mark Chamberlain. Talk to us about that opportunity, how that come about.
Again, completely out the blue. So when I first started with the solar installation, it was only relatively new. I'd only started with these guys, but maybe 4 weeks before getting the Chamberlain call, and I said to him, there may be a time in the future that I might have to pack in. I said, I work as hard as I can, no matter what, and I'll give you 100%. But if boxing is the number one priority for me, and they said, yeah, no worries. We're boxing fans. We understand that. You're going to go and chase your dream. And again, completely out of the blue, phone call one evening, stalker. Do you want to fight Mark Chamberlain at Wembley on the AJ undercard? Is how he said it, and I just said, yeah. Wembley, AJ undercard. That was my chance, because that was obviously, like you say, when you're on the small hall shows and you're selling tickets every time and you're running around everywhere to sell your tickets, you're craving that exposure and of TV. That's the next step in it, TV, because I'd never been on TV prior to that, and that was my chance then to get on TV and prove to people what I could do given the opportunity.
What notice was that again?
That was 12 weeks notice, that. Right. So there were a lot of notice on that one. But again, it come in the night before, late on, that I needed to be in London the next day for the press conference. And I can remember thinking, oh my God, I'm going to have to stand on a press conference table. Because I was nervous for that. That was real nerves.
You actually thinking about that?
Well, I'd never done a press conference, ever. And then the first press conference that I was going to do was going to be at Wembley, and AJ were on it. There was a massive card. It was the first Riyadh season card in the UK, and that was my first press conference. So
that was when it in the city somewhere, wasn't it? Was it Guildhall or something like that?
No, well, that was the fight week press conference.
Okay.
So this was the first announcement. So this was at what's the stadium just next to Wembley?
Oh, Arena. That's right, Wembley Arena.
It's massive.
Yeah.
I'd not even boxing something like that, and I was sitting on stage with AJ and everything behind me, and that was my first press conference, and I was shitting myself for that. I was dead nervous.
By the way, whenever Tom Stalker rings you now, you must be so excited.
I'm excited, and then obviously if it's in camp, I'm just thinking, oh my God, something's gone wrong. Something's gone wrong.
Yeah, because I guess I don't want to jinx it, but the nature of the beast and what happens, it could happen to you, couldn't it? Where you're going to have to, have a late notice opponent.
Yeah.
So that ring walk, talk to me about. I'm so intrigued by the feelings, the emotions that must be running through your mind and your body as you're making your way to Wembley Stadium. Wembley Stadium, walking into that arena, going in your changing room. Wembley Stadium.
I can remember we went in just prior to, obviously, the fight, before the crowd gets in there. And I can remember we walking in and just looking around. Like I say, I'm not a football fan, so I don't go to big stadiums. And I can remember walking in there, and my fight prior to Wembley was at Leeds Banqueting Suite. No tiered seating, nothing, just one level, straight round, probably, 1,000 people in there. And then you're going to go and jump into Wembley. So it went crazy. But then the ring walk and stuff, nobody believed that I was going to do that fight. So my ring walk, as I was walking to the ring, fans weren't even allowed in the stadium. So my friends and that could hear me getting announced.
Really?
And they were saying, not yet, outside, sort of thing. So that's how much that I was, like, say, put to the side on that one.
What? So then...
So I was sort of in the ring as they were running. I was already in the ring as they were running down.
So they caught it all, though?
They caught all the fight, but the ring walk and all that, I was essentially walking out to an empty stadium. A big empty stadium.
So how many did you have come down from Doncaster?
130 or something, and you could hear them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There were two groups because you couldn't get, you didn't have ticket allocation for that one. It would go online and sort of thing. So everyone had panicked and got it, but I still had about 130, 140 come down.
How was you sort of because obviously you said it there, no one really gave you a chance. Mark Chamberlain is wrecking ball, His Excellency's favourite fighter at the time, destroying everyone, big puncher. How was you nervous before the fight? In the change room, you're in this massive stadium, you're fighting this feared man. What was your emotions like then? I
didn't really have any nerves, to be honest. It was quite because there was no pressure. Talk about pressure in the fight game. There was no pressure on me. All the interviews, obviously, I kept seeing things fight week, and they were doing like predictions and stuff. Obviously, the other fighters were doing predictions, and everybody were Mark Chamberlain, not Mark Chamberlain. I thought everybody's thinking I'm gonna lose anyway. Nobody's expecting me to win, but I know in myself that I was going to go out there and do everything in my power to win and put the best account on for myself that I knew that I could do. And I thought, I've got nothing to lose from this because everybody's thinking I'm going to win, going to lose. So if I lose, that's what everyone's thinking anyway. But in my head, I'm going to go and try as hard as I physically can and upset the odds, and that's what we did.
Honestly, did you believe you could win that fight? What was you thinking? Or is it just sort of, let's see how good I am?
Let's see how good I am. Let's see what... I knew that I could take a shot, and I knew that I've got a really good boxing brain, and if I can do things that, like, say, if I need to box a certain way, I can box a certain way. If I need to fight, I know I can dog it out, sort of thing. So I thought, let's go in there and see what we need to do to win. And then within, I bet a minute, I thought, I can do this.
Into the first round? Really?
Honestly.
That early? Because there is always that moment, I'm sure you're the same, where that light bulb goes off and you're like, I'm going to win this fight. Yeah, I've got this one in the bag. And it was that early, was it?
My feet were too fast.
Yeah.
I knew that I could get him and get out, or get in, tie him up and get out. Given it doesn't always look good tying him up, but I needed to do what I needed to do to win Mark Chamberlain. And that was up at £140. And he was this big puncher, so it were like, don't take any risks that I don't need to.
What was his power like?
I didn't really give him chance. I think if you set with him and you let him punch you, I'm sure he's going to hit you hard, but I didn't let that happen. I would either tying him up, making it not look the best, or getting out of the way.
What was that, hearing the final bell, that feeling like, knowing that you'd performed? Ultimately, you still don't know if you've won, but we knew. Do you know what I mean? We all knew that you'd won the fight, but you knowing that you'd put in a brilliant performance at, again, I keep saying it, but the National Stadium, that must have been a real buzz.
Yeah, there was that doubt there, though. You're like, I knew in myself that I'd done enough to win.
Yeah.
And you do, don't you? When you, like say, when you've had the fight, you know, is it going to be close? You don't know, but if you know you've won, you've won. And I thought, even if they give it him here, I'm going to get something off the back of it. Something will come, more work or anything, you know, because I've done such a good account for myself. But the judge just saw it right on that day, and I did get the decision.
And what was the aftermath like after that fight?
Buzzing. I thought, well, to be honest, I thought that was it then. I thought, packing the job in, I'm going to get a deal, everything. It's like, say, you're just beating this undefeated prospect who were meant to be fighting for a world title next. You've gone and derailed it. And I thought, on a world title AJ undercard, I thought, that's it. And then 3 weeks later, I'm back to work.
What? The phone didn't ring?
That was it.
Tom Stalker hadn't rang yet?
No. Very well. We thought, it dragged on a little bit. There were potential signings and stuff like that. We obviously everybody and potential fights, and then fights that were just like completely step backwards and stuff. But it were like, what's the point in doing that and risking what we've worked so hard for? Because we had massive world rankings at that stage. Because we were, like you say, I think we were ranked in them all of them WBA top like 20. And then just didn't happen. I went back to work from 3 weeks after Chamberlain right up until that Tuesday evening when I went to fight Shakur.
All right, so look, you told us about where you was that evening. You got the phone call. Sort of, was it just a normal week before then? Was you in the gym just sort of ticking over, waiting for that phone call from Stalker?
For the Shakur fight?
Just before. So, you did you have a fight lined up?
No.
No, so you had nothing lined up. It's just a normal working week.
Yeah, training 3-4 times a week. But training 3-4 times a week is only still 3 or 4 hours training because you're still going to work and training after work. So it's not like I'm training twice a day at this stage or anything. For the Shakur fight, we're like 4 hours of training a week.
So how are you juggling training and work at that time? So you're doing...
Installing Monday to Friday, like starting 7 o'clock till anywhere from 2 till 4 o'clock, and then just going to the gym after that.
Straight to the gym?
Yeah. Doing an hour and a half, 2 hours training. But obviously there's no fight dates or anything penciled in at this stage, so it's still... You're not training to that top peak performance. You're just ticking over so you don't get your injuries and stuff like that. And then I'll go and do a little bit on a Saturday morning.
Blimey. Was there ever a point, sort of, I guess, before the Chamberlain fight that you thought, I might have to give boxing the elbow?
Yeah, I split from my amateur coach just before the Chamberlain fight, and that was there were about a 3-week period there where I thought, what am I doing this for? Because the Leeds Ellen Road fight, we had a change of opponents and stuff, and I didn't get paid a single penny for that fight. Not so it actually cost me to box probably by the time I bought my kit and all that sort of stuff. And put a bus on for people to come down and paid for your medicals. I didn't receive a single penny for it. So like, I'm earning all right money doing solar panels. I'm having all this hassle of training and juggling everything. Is it worth it? Obviously fell out with my old coach at that stage as well. Had 2 weeks where I didn't know if I wanted to box or not. And I thought, I cannot waste everything. After about 2 weeks, just sat not doing anything. I thought, I can't waste all what I've worked for. Went and moved with Steffi and Jason Cunningham. Started enjoying training again. Did that for 4 weeks, and then Chamberlain come along.
Did your workmates, your colleagues in that understand the sort of magnitude of what you was trying to do, the boxing, and when you got these big calls of Chamberlain, etc.? Did they understand the sort of scale of what you was, trying to attempt to do?
I don't think so. No, they'd obviously come and watched on the little small hall shows and stuff like that, workmates, and good drink for them, innit? Good night out and stuff. But I think they probably would have done, knowing, like, say, when you're at work, obviously I'd stick to my diet and everything like that, and always training and stuff. And there were times when I'd be on site and I'd be going out on my breaks to spar in Sheffield and stuff, and then come back to work. And so I'd be like, at 10 o'clock, sometimes I'd be going out and doing like 6 rounds with Dalton Smith, and then coming back to work and then doing the rest of my day. That's what I'd have to do to then sometimes get a couple of sessions in.
Wow.
When we worked in Sheffield and stuff. So I think at that stage they knew that obviously my colleagues and that knew that I were obviously dedicated to it.
Yeah.
But I don't think they'd have probably quite expected the heights that I've got. Now.
What's happened now?
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
So the phone goes that evening, you have your eye test, you're on a plane now. You're going to Riyadh on arguably one of the biggest cards ever. Like, what is going through your mind when you're on that plane? Like, I can only imagine. Like, you're sat on a plane going to Saudi, where 3 days ago, was it 3-4 days ago? You're on a
the day before, wasn't it?
The day before.
So obviously, I flew on Wednesday at 5 o'clock. The day before, I would have been at work. And I was in business class as well, which was crazy. I was in business class on the way there, and I couldn't have a single beverage, a single piece of food or anything, because obviously we're doing the weight cut. And they're coming around and they're like, "Do you want a drink?" I'm like, "No, I'm not allowed one." They're like, "Why?" But Yeah, first time flying business as well. That was nice.
And so, what's going through your mind? You land, just a whirlwind, I guess. Straight up, because we sat down and did an interview. Do you remember? I don't know if you remember. I come straight through. What was that? What had that been? The media workout, the presser. We're at the Boulevard City, and I've had to quickly run round. I've got to come off the platform.
Press conference.
Yeah. And then you're sat down. The next one, you got me.
So that I had to do like a little bit of press that day when we got there. I think it was like 6 a.m, Saudi time.
Yeah.
We slept till maybe 10, and then we come out. We had everybody wanting us. My phone were blowing up with media people saying we need an interview up here. I was the number one. I can remember some of the reporters were like, "You are our number one story that we need to get at the minute in here." And I'm thinking, Josh Padley, when there's like Bivol walking by, and it was just completely surreal to me.
It was just it's the story. Like I say, it's that it just captured everyone's imagination, because you weren't just fighting, an up and coming half decent fighter. You're fighting Shakur Stevenson, the world champion. This is a proper challenge. But you had pedigree at this point. Do you know what I mean? You had that big win over Mark Chamberlain. So everyone was like, there were murmurs like, can you imagine if he was to beat this man? You're talking about everything was sort of tailored to making the weight. At what point are you trying to fit in tactics around beating Stevenson as well? Because obviously it's all focused, right, I've got to get the weight down. I need this opportunity to fight for a world title. But then obviously you've got to try and beat this man. We had a little bit, obviously, from the Chamberlain fight, he's a southpaw. Yeah.
So we had another southpaw. So it was like straight back to what we already knew what going in our head. But we only actually had an hour's training to prepare specifically for Shakur Stevenson.
1 hour.
1 hour. We landed, like I say, got there, slept a little bit, 10 a.m. in the morning, did a little bit of media, and then they wanted Matchroom and that wanted us to get us on the pads. I don't know if you've seen the video, and I'm on the pads with the blue top on and say, we're here to... That was our Shakur Stevenson prep, that hour in the gym.
That was it.
Well, the cameras are on and stuff like that, and obviously you're still making weight at that stage, so it's like not doing too much, but that was our prep for him.
How did you said about Chamberlain, there was there was nerves, but the pressure has kind of been lifted because, he was a big underdog. How did this one compare to the Chamberlain, or was it very similar?
Very similar, yeah. Very, very, very similar, yeah. Again, nobody was thinking Josh Padley were going to do anything, but I can remember being on the phone to Tom the day before, obviously saying when he first said it, and I can remember saying to him, Tom, because I didn't go, I went for the opportunity, you know what I mean? I said to Tom, imagine if we pull this off, what it's going to do, it's going to be one of the best upsets in history if we go and pull that off. So that was my mindset going into it, is if we pull this off, it's just going to change everything, completely flip it on its head. Is if Josh Padley, go and defeat him on 4 days' notice, given everything, and become WBC champion of the world, it's going to be historic. And that was my mindset going in, and that's what I was saying all press week, is if I pull this off, it's going to be mega.
Can you imagine? I mean,
that would have been, like I say, that's what I was thinking in my head. If I pull it off, this is going to be mega.
So how was it sort of backstage before you made that ring walk? Was you calm?
Calm enough, but I knew there were a big task at hand, and this was going to be like nothing that I'd ever experienced or been in before. It's like, say, Wembley Stadium, massive stadium, but it was pretty much empty. There were probably 5,000 in there towards the end. This was high up the card. I were above Boatsi and Callum Smith. I was third from the top. So I was high up. And
that's a big, people forget, it's a massive arena, that, isn't it?
I think it was
Arena.
7,000 or 8,000. It wasn't the biggest.
Sorry, it was the...
they did it a little bit, the other one,
what's
wasn't
it called?
Can't remember, but they did it the smaller one.
It was banged out, wasn't it?
Sold out.
Yeah.
Because I had 15 people come over to Saudi, my friends.
Did you?
And they couldn't get tickets, some of them.
Really?
Luckily, I got some comps that sorted it out completely. But yeah, because they'd booked and got there without even getting tickets.
Yeah. when he's making his ring walk, what are you thinking? Are the nerves kicking in then? Like the reality of who you're about to be facing?
Yeah, you're looking round and it's absolutely packed to the rafters. And they're introducing him as WBC World Champion, and then that, but you sort of zoned in, so it almost like becomes numb around you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And you just, what, it happened before you know it, the bell's ringing and you're fighting him.
Mm. And what was it like in those early stages of the fight? You're in there with an elite level fighter now. This is proper. This is as good as it gets. What are your initial thoughts? I
can remember him touching the jab out and I'm thinking, I can counter this. It's not that bad. That's what I'm thinking in my head. That's what I've told myself. I can remember in the early stages, I'm thinking, it's not that bad. We're both like finding each other out, twitching each other.
Yes.
And I thought, that's not that bad, that jab. I can probably counter that a little bit later on. And then, he turned it up.
What surprised you most about him?
How he were completely out of range to me to jab him and counter him, but he weren't out of range to hit me exactly where he wanted. At any point, he could perfect. And them lazy jabs that I thought I'd counter, he could jab me 3 times as fast as that, but he waited to lure me into thinking that I could get that. And he, like I say, the accuracy and his timing were like nothing I've ever even sparred anyone remotely like it.
Do you know what? That's very similar to what I felt when I sparred with Cole Froch and Mikhail Kezat, and when I fought Sergio Martinez. You think you're safe. You think you're in a safe area, but you're not.
No.
You just did like, you could be stood way back from your opponent, but somehow they just close the distance so quickly. And they just know it's that elite level fighter. It's fascinating. You was hurt with body shots. What was going through your head? More your body after that third knockdown?
The body shots were frustrating me because the head shots, although they were landing, I'd been hit harder to the head. Like when I'd been sparring Dalton and stuff like that, I thought he hits harder than Dalton, and they were landing, but I weren't ever getting dazed or anything like that. There were no falls or anything. It would just do. But then the body shots, it were hitting me and it would just drop in my legs. So my body weren't even letting me absorb the shot when I knew that I should have been able to absorb that shot because the headshot weren't that hard. And that's what was frustrating me. And I was like, why is this happening? Why can't I even try and take a body shot? It was like, I'd get it and then my legs would be on the floor. I'd be like, well, this is not normal sort of thing. I should be able to at least get winded. I wasn't even getting winded. It would just drop in me. And then I'd be able to get back up and I'd be like, and then he'd do it again. But it would just hit me perfect accuracy again. Perfect every time. Wherever he wanted, just taking the wind completely out of me and then my legs dropping.
How was you feeling like engine-wise?
Fine up until the body shots.
Right, okay. They just emptied the tank.
Emptied it, yeah. So it was like round 9. So that's pretty good going, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And the round was pretty much finished at 9. That's pretty much good going on a 4-day camp. So I probably could have carried on into the 10th, which is very good going, 10 rounds, no camp. But I can remember it being in like the 3rd or 4th round, he were hitting me and I was thinking, these aren't bad. And he were hitting me to the head and he stepped back and he made a funny face and like moved his hand a little bit. He must have hurt his hand on my head. And I thought, this is sound. He's hurt his hand. The headshots aren't hitting me. Just keep punching me in the head. And then his corner were like, go to the body check. Worst thing his corner could have said for me. He banged me once to the body. I thought, took wind straight out of me. And he heard his corner go again. He's hurt to the body check. This is all I need. Yeah. And then that were it. He'd all out assault to my body and just broke me down.
Do you think you frustrated him though during that fight?
I think he thought I was going to be easier than what I thought.
Yeah.
Like tougher. I showed a lot of grit in that fight because it was my big chance. Like I say, world title opportunity. You're going to give it everything you've got, aren't you? That's the top of the sport, innit? But I think he thought. I think he was a bit surprised the fact that he was punching me as hard as he could in the head, and I was just like giving him a little flurry back, sort of thing. But yeah. If his coach never shouted, go to the body, I might have survived.
Damn you, coach. It's your fault. Any communication with Stevenson after? I mean, he tweeted, didn't he, after your last fight?
He's been one of my supporters, to be fair.
Ah,
After,
what a ledge.
We're on good Twitter basis, us two, friendship. Been a couple of times he sort of like shouted me out on Twitter and stuff like that, and there was some, like, I think Devin Haney said something other day saying sort of trying to bring Shakur down for fighting. He says, I don't fight Josh Padley's. So I tweeted back something like, wait till I can prove you wrong, sort of thing. And he retweeted that, Shakur, saying, don't worry, champ, anything that's to bring my name down, they'll do it, sort of thing. Your time will come.
Quality.
So yeah.
What
good Twitter mates.
Good Twitter mates, yeah, rightly so. That respect's there, that bond's there, you know, it will be for what you've done. You saved the day, didn't you?
Yeah.
You saved the day. With Stevenson, do you think, what's your belief in how far he can go? I know he's already a pound for pound. Where would you place him? He's up there. Do you think he sort of remains unbeaten for a long time?
I think so. If he doesn't, I think he's pretty happy staying at lightweight. I know a lot of the other ones have gone up now, like your Haney's and your Garcias. They've all gone up to welterweight and stuff now, aren't they? Or they're going up to welterweight. So I think if he can stay at lightweight, why shouldn't he stay undefeated?
Yeah.
There's always that big. I think the mega fight is obviously him and Davis, and who knows who wins that way. Obviously, Davis's power sort of thing, but I would only rate Davis to be able to potentially dethrone Shakur at lightweight. So
you must be so proud though when you look back at what, you know, that whole occasion, stepping in and you, albeit you lost and you know you didn't go the distance, but your stock rose. Do you know what I mean? You know, off the back of that, you signed for Matchroom, and now you're a fully fledged, fully full-time professional boxer. I mean, I can see the smile on your face. You must be buzzing. You must be proud of yourself. The perseverance.
Yeah, that's it. Like I say, afterwards I was devastated, and I can remember doing interviews afterwards and I had a right lump in my throat thinking, I don't want to do these interviews, but everyone wants to talk to you and get your opinion. And they had me head down for a day or so, but the response that I got was completely overwhelming from everyone. I've got fans in America and all sorts now, you know, saying that they want to watch me fight because I proved, like, I showed so much grit and, like I say, determination, and showed that I just had willingness to try no matter what, sort of thing. So it feels good, like I say, cast my mind back to all them, like I say, working or full time and, like I say, not getting paid on the small hall shows. I've now proved what I'm about, proved my stock, and it's paid off for me because, like I say, there's lots of boxers that work full time.
Yeah,
because there's a bit of a misconception thinking full professional boxers that you just got all this money and everything, sort of thing like that. But I'm a prime example of, if you are in that situation where you're working and you're training, if you like I say, if you stay dedicated, it can happen.
So you've signed with Matchroom now. You are a full-time pro. How has life changed since?
Like I say, everything now can evolve solely around boxing. There's no work. There's no, like I say, if I've had a tough day, am I going to spar crap later on tonight or anything like that? It's just, this is the fight date. This is training. I'm training twice a day. These times, everything evolves around it. Boxing is the sole purpose.
So work's completely gone now?
Completely gone, yeah.
Is it weird not working?
I had a little, like I say, for the Chamberlain opportunity, I had 8 weeks off work for that one. So I had a little taster of what it could be like. So,
right, okay.
Like I say, straight back to that. But I'm also conscious that if I want this to carry on, I need to perform. So that's now, as much as I enjoy it all, and I'm enjoying it day by day, I'm also conscious that, I say, this is a job, and as fast as I am up here, I can be back down, back down there. So I need to train as hard as I did when I wanted to get in this position. When
the money came in, what was the first thing you brought?
That an Alexa kettle.
An Alexa kettle?
A £50 Alexa kettle that if I'm sat on the sofa, I can say, hey, Alexa, turn on the kettle and it'll boil. That was my first purchase from the fight. fight money.
I didn't even know there was such thing.
Yeah, you can do it, yeah.
The kettle just comes on.
If you say, Alexa, boil the kettle, it'll come on from kitchen, yeah.
And then you got the missus to make it for you.
Yeah.
Ain't bad, is it?
Yeah, 50 quid, bang on in it.
I think that was the first thing you brought, was it?
That was the first thing I bought. I've only bought 3 things with the fight purse, to be honest. That's it.
3 things?
3 things.
Can I ask what they are?
The Alexa kettle, a robot Hoover, and a new car.
Yeah.
Upgraded the van. That's it. Nothing else since.
A robot?
Robot Hoover, yeah. So when I go to train, I can just press that and it'll mop and hoover up the house. So when I come back from training, it's nice and clean.
So essentially, you've just become really lazy.
Yeah. Everything evolves around boxing. That's my recovery time now, you see.
Yeah. So looking ahead, you've had that fight. You had a fight back Mario Svetanovic. You beat him in the 5th round.
Yeah.
We were just talking as we went to the coffee shop about, it wasn't your first choice of opponent, but on paper, a tricky one. You couldn't really work out who he was or how dangerous he was. He's unbeaten. It's not really the comeback fight you want, is it, really?
No, you are 13-0 with 6 stoppages. So we're like, but he's all boxing Serbia. So it's like, is he actually scary or is he just a bit unknown? He's never had his opportunity. Same as me against Chamberlain. I'd never had my opportunity. Is this his big chance sort of thing to come and dethrone me sort of thing? So not the ideal opposition, but although it looks good now, like I say, another undefeated.
Yeah.
I think that's my 5th undefeated fighter that I've faced as a pro, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
And like I say, we did the job that we needed to do.
Right, the last time I'll ask you the question, so you're on the big stage now. What are your goals and ambitions now? Now, you've had a taste of the big time twice. Well, you say 3 times actually on the last show as well. What's the goals? What are your goals now?
To get back. Now I'm where I wanted to be, like I say, all the way through my career. But now I want to get back to that level of where I fought Shakur at. I've had a taste for that, and that is where I want my career to be, with with a full camp and the full opportunity. Not like saying necessarily against Shakur. Like I said, I'm not going to try and pretend that given a full camp would I beat him and all that sort of thing. But I just want my opportunity to fight for a world title again, given a fair, a full camp and everything like that. Now that I'm in the position where I can build up to that world title.
Do you think you can win a world title?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, you got to dream big, right?
That's it. I think.
I mean, it can't get any tougher, can it?
I've had a taste of a world title, and I think I did a pretty good account for myself against, like you say, someone that mentions in a pound for pound list. There might be an opportunity for me that somebody who isn't in the pound for pound list has a world title, that I'm just that little bit better than them. So that might be my opportunity to get that world title.
Yeah. For fighters out there that are like you used to be, full-time working, what would your advice to them be whilst they're still, plugging away, working, striving for those big opportunities?
I think when people say, obviously, the word discipline, there's just that. That is it. Like I say, discipline beats motivation and all that. If you're disciplined, that, like I say, when you've had a tough day at work, you still go to the gym. When you've been up early for work, you still go to the gym. You still do your diet. You still stay on track. When you're not getting paid for fights, you still go back to the gym the day after, sort of thing. It's just being super disciplined and having that goal in your head that when you want to get there and not giving up till you get to that goal.
Yeah. And I guess you got it now.
Yeah.
The next stage.
Yeah.
Just not giving up on that.
No, that's it.
On to sort of current stuff now. Rumours that there could be another Matchroom versus Queensbury 5v5. Who would you pick for Team Matchroom? Anyone spring to mind? Like, what would your perfect 5 be?
From Matchroom.
You can include yourself, obviously.
I'd love the Dalton Smith-Pierce O'Leary fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one that thought about for quite a while that I think it's just a really good fight.
Yeah. That is a really good fight.
Yeah. I think, obviously, the big one, which probably would never happen on a 5v5, the AJ Fury fight.
It will happen. It will happen.
I don't know if a 5v5 will happen, but...
Oh, right. Can you imagine that?
I know.
Both team captains,
Yeah.
it comes down to that fight just to make it that little bit more bigger.
I think it will happen, but I don't think it'll happen on a 5v5.
Right, okay.
That's what I think. But my ideal one would be that.
Who would you fight?
I don't know. I've been asked this question a few times, like, who's your names that you want? And I don't really mind who I fight, providing it does the best for me and my career.
Yeah.
So if so-and-so's got that belt that does the best for me, I'll fight him. That's fine.
Mm.
So I don't really get fixed on like a certain opponent more than whatever's going to do best for me sort of thing.
Right, so there's a world title offer. You get to fight for a world title for $500,000.
Yep.
Or fight somebody, a decent name, for 750 grand, but there's no title on the line.
I'd fight the world title. Is the world title another decent
It
fighter?
could be whoever, yeah.
I'd go for the world title because there's a big picture in it. What comes after that? You're a world champion. Imagine what's going to come when you're defending your world title.
Yeah.
It's all about the big picture. Like I say, it's whatever's going to do best for me in my career. It's a short career boxing, isn't it? Especially in my situation now where I'm 30 this year and it's only really going to start taking off for me.
Yeah.
5 years maybe. So I've got a 5-year plan of getting and do as much as I can in this sport.
Yeah.
So whatever's going to do best for me.
Well, a really important question now. Who wins 100 men or one gorilla?
It's everywhere, isn't it? It's everywhere.
How would 100 Josh Padleys get on against a decent sized gorilla?
Not very good, I don't think. Have you seen them? I've been watching a few TikToks and stuff where they're running about stamping the chest. I think, I won't.
Did you see Mike Tyson's response?
No, I don't know. He reckons he could do it.
He straight away said, that gorilla's getting fucked up, man. He goes, I'll stamp on his face. He goes, 100 of me? Get the fuck out of here. He goes, we'll just go 20 at a time. He goes, we'll be grabbing his dick, grabbing his balls, stamping in his teeth. Can you imagine?
Nah.
So you're going, okay.
I'm going gorilla.
You gorilla. Yeah, I think so. Right. 3 boxers to go to work with. You're going back on the tools.
Back on the tools, installing
what 3
the panels.
You bringing with you?
I'd like to bring Mike Tyson. I think he was one of the ones that.
Yeah, but what if you dropped an hammer on his toe or something like that? Then you just, you're in big trouble, aren't you?
Yeah, but I feel like he'd be one of them guys that don't really do that much there, but just have loads of stories to tell you about his. You know what I mean? I'd be all for that. Probably someone like AJ. I think he'd be good for just. You wouldn't even have to get ladders outside and that. Would you just be doing all eye work, just stood there?
It's true, yeah.
And then I'd have to pick someone small that I could bully into the loft, so I didn't have to go and do that bit of work.
Sling Pacquiao up there or something like that. Or you could get Shakur Stevenson and be like boss him around. Like get
back in there and do what shit work up there.
Didn't Usyk didn't he go viral or something for changing a light?
I got tagged in it.
Yeah.
I got tagged by Matchroom and it's saying Josh Padley's better. Fixing a light in TalkSport office.
He'd be quite fun, Usyk, I reckon, on the side, like dancing.
Dancing about and that.
What's harder, in your opinion, to rewire a whole occupied house or take another 3 body shots off of Stevenson?
It's a tough one, that. It is a tough one. If it's a Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock, I'm going for body shots. I'm not rewiring no house at 4 o'clock on a Friday. I'm going for body shots every day.
Yeah. Recently, we see the great scrap between Ben Eubank. What did you make of that? Special, wasn't it?
Yeah, enjoyed that. Enjoyed that a lot. That was one of my. I've not, like I say, I enjoyed that fight more than 90% of fights that I've watched in the last probably 5 years, I think the whole backstory of it and the family is on the line. And like I say, when Eubank Senior walked in, it was special.
That honestly, that aside from action that goes on in the ring, the actual fighting, I would have to say that was the single most iconic moment for me as a fan, because I had no idea. I completely thought, well, that's not happening. I spoke to Eubank about 4 days before. I had to interview him, and I asked him the question, will he turn up? And he pretty much said no. And I thought, well, that's it then. It didn't even register. And all of a sudden, I think it was in between rounds or after one of the fights, we sat there and you see him come out of the car. The noise in that stadium was electric.
We had a few friends over to watch it. I think there were about 10 of us there, and we were all stood up. Just the picture of him coming on, we were all stood up like, yeah, he's here.
It was nuts, wasn't it?
But that was a mega fight. It definitely lived up to expectation. It passed expectation.
I think so.
I didn't think it'd be as good as what it was. I think Ben showed a lot. Chris showed a lot. It was a mega fight.
Should we see it again?
I don't know. There's talks of obviously Ben trying to go on for world titles and stuff like that. I think if I was Ben, I'd potentially try and chase a world title. I don't know if he loses again to Eubank, does he miss that world title opportunity and stuff like that? But then on the flip side, how long's Eubank got left?
And then more boxing as we sit here and do this interview. We just literally days past the Times Square show. Haney, Garcia both on the bill. Canelo obviously fought in Riyadh after. That could be an option, couldn't it, for Eubank? I know he's pushing for the Canelo fight, but move back up to 168, a more comfortable weight against Canelo. Would you advise that?
I think Canelo shuts him down completely. But again, in Chris's situation where he's 1 or 2 fights left,
he'd
definitely be a ride off into the sunset type of payday fighting Canelo, I'm sure, wouldn't it? But he probably fancies the Ben rematch from a Chris's point of view. I think he probably thinks he's done it once, he'll do it again, sort of thing.
After Canelo's win, we got the announcement that Crawford's definitely happening September 12th. How do you see that one playing out? It's an intriguing one, that. I mean, it's very similar to what we've just seen, isn't it? Like Ben stepping up to 2 weights, Crawford now stepping up to 168 to fight Canelo. It's a real fantasy fight.
Have you seen the size of Crawford, though?
He's
on the
big,
pictures?
isn't he?
Cannot believe it. He used to be a 140 pounder originally. Massive. Could not believe it. He looked bigger than Canelo on some of them photos that I'd seen.
Well, straight away, I don't know if you're the same. I end up looking at the trainers, thinking, how big are the trainers? But they're normal. Like he's a big lump, isn't he?
Yeah, if someone's super tall.
Yeah.
Massive, yeah. And he looks, on the picture I've seen, he's still got abs and he's still in shape from it. So, because that was always going to be the question, is he going to be big enough to fight someone like Canelo? But it looks like he's going to be big enough. It's just if he can do what he does with all the switching and on his feet. I think Canelo's good if you're going to stand there. And Crawford doesn't like to stand there, but is he going to be able to do his movement up at that weight?
Yeah. And again, were there signs that we see that it's obvious that Canelo is at the twilight stages of his career now, but as negative as William Skull was, you did feel, and I felt watching it, that you wanted Canelo just to cut the ring down a little bit more and let the shots go, but does he have that? And again, stepping up in quality, which it will be from Skull to Crawford, regardless of the weight. You know, if he can be active and be busy throughout the 12 rounds, you've got to give him a hell of a chance, Crawford.
I think so. I think if Crawford can keep his movement and stuff that he has, I think it'll be Crawford's fight. Can't see Crawford wanting to stand there and just let Canelo tee off.
No way.
Cannot see it. And that's the only way that Canelo really breaks people down, is if they're a bit flat-footed. Like himself, so I'd be going Crawford on that one.
Yeah. Hamza Shiraz moving up to 168, fight Edgar Malanga.
Big guy, Shiraz, isn't he?
Yeah, massive.
Yeah, I couldn't believe how big he actually was. Like, say, being around him on the Wembley card and obviously the Saudi card, to be a middleweight, it was just ridiculous, wasn't he? So hopefully see him back doing what he did on the way up to middleweight, because I think he did, like I say, that wasn't really an impressive performance over in Saudi last time out, but he obviously struggled with weight a little bit, didn't he?
Yeah, he's lucky. He's one of those with the tall frame. He can move up comfortably. Imagine him filling out to 168 super middleweight. You've got to give him a hell of a chance. Dubois-Usyk, the rematch. Can you see? Look, this is a different fight altogether now. We've got Daniel Dubois on a
steam train.
On an absolute steam train, you're right. Confidence through the roof. But he's in with Harry Potter, as I've called him, Usyk. He's just a master, isn't he? He's just a genius. Can he win?
I don't think so.
No.
Usyk, in it. I'd written him off. I didn't think he was good enough to beat Fury first time round. I thought Fury's too big. He's just going to lean on him, pull him round. He just figures people out, doesn't he? He's just got that ability to, no matter who you are and what you bring to the table, he has one thing that he can just up you on it and figure you out and use it against you. Time and time again, he's proved it.
Stops him again? Points? What do you think?
I don't know if stops him again, or I just think Usyk will just somehow...
It's incredible.
Figure it out and win again.
He'll have to go down. You couldn't argue. If someone was to say that he's the greatest of all time, could you argue?
He's got to be in the picture.
But what he's done as an amateur and what he's done as a professional and who he's beaten, like you couldn't really argue against it, could you?
No, and he's not, like say, not massive. He's took his time to fill out to heavyweight, and now he's just mopping them up like they're nothing.
I'm gonna mention Jake Paul now. He's fighting Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. What do you make of sort of Jake Paul's involvement in boxing? Is this a real fight for him?
His involvement in boxing. See, the thing with Jake Paul, I've always admired his ability to promote himself and sell himself. So getting into the position where he's at and making the money fair play, because it's hard to be jealous of, from a boxing point of view, it's hard to be jealous of him because he's so good at promoting himself. If you're jealous of that, you need to promote yourself better. But when he's like calling Canelo out and stuff like that, without actually proving himself in the boxing rankings, then that's what the part of it that I don't agree with, sort of thing. You can't just come in, fight some basketballers and a couple of UFC fighters and then call Canelo out. Do you know? You can't do that. And even a win over Chavez Jr., you can't go and call Canelo out. It doesn't work like that, does it? But if, for instance, he did actually beat a decent up-and-coming legit fighter, then start calling Canelo out, then you can't deny him. And like I say, making all the money he is and doing what he's doing, fair enough, but don't go and call the top of the sport out just because you've got a bit of a name without you proving it.
Do you think Jake Paul could beat me?
What do you weigh?
I'd say about 30.
Because he's a big man, isn't he? What is he?
Be honest, do you think?
What is he? How much does he weigh?
He's a lump.
He's 200.
He's a lump. I remember I commentated him versus Nate Diaz in Dallas, and I started thinking, there's no way this man could beat me. I've been out the ring 10 years. There's no way he could beat me. And I thought, I'll size him up. And he got out of the ring, and his arms are bigger than me.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for your answer.
I'm thinking about it, yeah.
I won't be offended.
I think right now, if you were to go into an 8-week camp, I think no.
Well, okay.
Rewind.
Yeah.
I think yeah.
So if I had the Josh Padley 4-day phone call to fight,
I don't think
Jake Paul.
I don't think you would. No.
What if I was fit? What about now? But I'm fit enough. I'm fit enough. Like I'm 100.
Are you flying?
I'm flying.
Yeah.
I'm flying.
I think you would.
Even now at 42.
Yeah, I think you would.
Have that, Jake Paul.
4-day notice, I don't think you would.
Fair point. I don't think so.
Even after 15 coffees, I don't think. I think you're going to get to round 4 and there's a 200-pound man punching you, and you can be like, oof.
Yeah, that's a good reminder. Josh, your Mount Rushmore of boxing.
Tyson. Roy Jones.
Two good ones.
You've got to put Usyk's face up there. You cannot not big smiley face with the gapping teeth and everything.
Great. Perfect.
Good Rude Rushmore.
Perfect.
And Mayweather.
I like that.
You cannot.
I like that 4.
You can't deny Mayweather. Tyson's sort of
Tyson's my favourite.
idol. Jones, I just love watching a Prime Jones. It's just
I think
his ability to do stuff. It's just
Prime Jones could be the best ever.
Yeah, mind blowing. How is his natural abilities, these gifted abilities, were just, and then obviously Usyk, modern day, top of the tree.
Yeah. Right, last question from me, and then we've got about 3 or 4 questions from fans. If you was to receive another phone call offering another huge fight, who and where would it be?
I think I'd like to box in Vegas. It would be in Vegas, and any world champion. That's what I'd only short notice phone call I'd take, sort of thing. 4 days, another world champion.
Yeah,
in Vegas. That'd be a nice one. I think lads would enjoy that as well.
Donny Boy's trip. Oh, that'd be good.
They all talk about Vegas.
Yeah, do they?
Yeah,
they're on your case.
That'd be the one.
So, I think that's achievable. More than achievable.
I don't think so. I think so as well. Yeah.
Well, flipping it. Yeah. You're proof in the pudding. Anything
can happen. Yeah, that's it, innit? You don't
so
write anything off.
You get that phone call off of Tom Silker. That'd be good. Not in camp. Right, Josh. We've got a few questions here. Right, from Joe Burnett 123. How do you wire and two-way switch? I'm guessing, how do you wire a two-way switch? Is that?
Yeah, it's obviously a two-way light switch. I've retired.
Right,
Them days are done.
Sorry, Joe. Sorry, mate. Let's have a look here. Okay, from Finley Cooper. What went through your head when you got the call? You got called into fight and you had to leave your van. What went through your head when you got called into fight and you had to leave your van?
Is he talking about in car park or leaving?
I don't know, mate. I don't know.
Excitement. Fuck the van. We're off to a world title fight.
He's buzzing. He's buzzing. Oh yeah. Tatty 82. When you go into Smash Warrington and make the Donny boys sing.
That'd be a big fight. I would like that fight as well.
Yeah.
I wouldn't turn that fight down if it come. I wouldn't mind a little warm up at Super Feather next, and then I'd be all for the Warrington fight if that come on.
I tell you what, he wants to fight abroad. He wants to fight in Vegas.
Who does Warrington?
Yeah.
That might be the one.
Eddie, Frank, whoever. There you go. Josh Padley, Josh Warrington's got to happen in Vegas. Yeah. So Dylan C.18, who's the best kid you fought in the amateurs?
My hardest fight in the amateurs were against a kid called Joseph Echo. Trains a lot of lads over in Manchester now, like Jack Grafter and stuff like that. That was my hardest amateur fight. I can remember coming out of that thinking, fucking hell, that was tough.
What's his name?
Joseph Echo.
Echo?
Yeah.
Sorry. Sound like David Diamante then, didn't I? I know this answer, but I'm assuming you might know the person. Mike G MB. Have you ever been to Jersey?
No.
Oh no, sorry. You fought in Malta, didn't you?
Malta, yeah. Malta. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Malta.
Yeah, no, I've never been to Jersey.
Never been to Jersey.
So you didn't know the answer to the question, did you?
No, I didn't. I didn't know. You can answer this again. Liam McLean, what made you start boxing?
Just love of fighting and a sport that I could actually like and sink my teeth into.
Yeah, here's one. It's from Ollie Hockenhole. It's about the Shakur Stevenson, but what did you learn by fighting Shakur Stevenson?
Body shots. Is what I learned. Yeah, they earn, and like you say, work the body and the head will come. Proved it in my last fight. Body shots brought it, yeah. So I did take a little bit from it, and now I'm putting it into action.
There you go. And last one, it's K333JRD. Has he sold his little van yet?
Not sold the van. I've come here today in it.
Have you really?
I have come here today in it, yeah. I have upgraded it. I've got another car, but I have kept the van and will be keeping the van.
So it's going to be like Only Fools and Horses. You ever seen it? They keep the yellow Robin Reliant. They never get rid of it.
Right to the end.
Yeah.
Right to the end.
Do me a favour, Nick. Always keep that.
Yeah, I will, yeah.
Didn't you say you had about 45?
I put a picture on saying, think it's time to upgrade the van. And I bet I had, like, say, 40, 50 messages saying, can I have it? And how much do you want for it?
Can I have it? Yeah, I guess if you don't ask, you don't get.
No. But no, the van will be staying.
Josh, I mean, I've thoroughly enjoyed that. Your story is remarkable. You've captured the imagination of not just the boxing world, but the man next door, if you like, through your real rocky story. And there's so much still to come. I hope you get the Vegas fight. I will be there commentating on your fights, which I'm thoroughly looking forward to. So, Josh, thank you very much and good luck with everything in the future, mate.
Pleasure to be on.
Cheers.
Thank you very much.